I got myself a new toy. I think.
Ooh, what is that?
I think that it's going to allow me to podcast and not finish my water halfway through. This has been a problem of mine that's been plaguing me for like what 107-ish episodes. Is that I get water and I want to drink a lot when I'm talking, but it is never enough. But this is half a gallon. This is a half-gallon bottle I'm holding up for YouTube. And if you, I'll flex a little bit for YouTube too, man. I'm gonna wear a tank top. I should at least show
off them guns.
Oh man, look at dude. My arms are meaty. So I'm up to 64 ounces per podcast now, and I'm hoping that I'm able to make it through alive and not spill on everything or hear the ice jingle around.
I am criminally over-prepared when I go and cast. If you ever see me at a LAN event, if there are ever LAN events ever again, you'll see me walking out with like 2 water bottles, a cup of tea, and then like who knows? Maybe I'm hungry, so I'll bring a snack out with me or something. I am over prepared.
I should make you like a custom bandolier so you can like, have some water bottles on your chest and you like a hip mount for like a hot decanter, and then like you should really go in there prepared like you're battling for war. You need like a full outfit to be able to cast properly. I think live events are coming back. I also think you're tired. Did you get enough sleep last night, baby boy? Look at all those yawns.
I don't know, man. I've been waking up early for some reason, earlier than I need to. I stay up late and wake up early. Not sure why.
Is this how you realize that you're starting to get older? Your body is naturally veering away from a degenerative sleep schedule.
Yeah, but like the gamer in me, okay. So we talked about this last time. I've been playing Teamfight Tactics. I've been playing a lot of Teamfight Tactics.
Still?
I play that. Ellie and I play that every night for probably a few hours in bed. That's it. We used to do that with Underlords, and then that game died, and it became bad. Then it died. But now it's Teamfight Tactics. It's really fun.
Do you get in the same lobby together?
Quite a bit. Yeah, you can queue up together.
Okay. Yeah, I
am a gold 4 for the ranking system, which is like 2K or something. It's pretty low.
It's pretty low. I should load it up just to play with you. Have you like been streaming it, or has it just been like a fully offline? No, yeah.
It's purely a mobile game for me.
There's no content to be made there.
Yeah, those auto battlers, honestly, they're made to be mobile games. That's part of the reason why they're so successful, I think, is you put it on a mobile phone and then everybody and anybody can play. That's why Mobile Legends Bang Bang is always like way up there in the esports charts and shit. It's because it's a phone game. That's why PUBG Mobile is the same thing.
I thought that you were. That's what I was gonna go. I'm like, so you're just gonna convert to a full mobile person. You're gonna cast Bang Bang. You're gonna play TFT. Then Riot's gonna hire you, and you take your computer and you'll sell it for more Samsung Galaxy Fold 17s. And then before you know it, you'll look like one of those like people who ride the bikes with all the Pokemon Go's in front of them, because you're a real mobile gamer.
Yeah, mobile is the future. We know that. We've known that for a while. It's just the games for the mobile games just suck, kind of. When it comes to complexity and their interest, when it comes to esports, not amazing usually.
I don't consider Switch mobile gaming because I don't think anybody does by definition. But I'm like, segue.
It kind of is. I mean, if it's Pokemon, the Pokemon Unite, right? And that has an esports scene, and that is played on mobile as well, right?
Yeah, there's some cross promotion, I guess, or cross play. I booted up and I spent like 10 hours trying to play, and that's too many. I spent about 6 hours trying to play the latest Pokemon release, begrudgingly, and I stopped playing it. And I feel like I am starting off my year right by not forcing myself to play games just for the sake of playing them and being able to stop. So I'm giving myself a very light back pat for stopping.
So is it bad?
Bad might be a bridge too far. I think it is interesting, like the setting is interesting, but I think that it doesn't really respect your time for a couple reasons. One, the first like 2 hours of the game legitimately are a tutorial. You're playing a tutorial for that game forever. And I think that like people have told me like, hey Joey, most Pokemon games start out with a really long tutorial. Have you ever like, played, I don't know, any of them? And yeah, a little bit, but like this one tutorializes changing your outfit as like a thing that takes 10 minutes to do.
Jeez.
And then once you get out into the wild and you just start like chucking Pokeballs at Pokemon to try and catch them, like that's kind of a little bit fun, but like not as much fun as I was having with other Pokemon games. So I just thought to stop it. The idea of having a Pokemon game set in like feudal Japan before anybody knows about Pokemon really, and like everything's pen and paper and Pokeballs are like made out of wood and shit, like that's really cool. And there's a lot of really interesting ideas there, but I had to stop playing the new Pokemon game, and I think I'm happier for it. My next quest is to try to play Dying Light 2 and see if I actually play that or if I can stop myself also.
Ooh, I did. I played Dying Light, the original, because I saw Dying Light 2 was coming out. People were making a really big deal of it, and everybody said Dying Light was really, really good. And I tried Dying Light, and no. Didn't. No. Game irritated me at some point in time, and I said, okay, I'm done. And then I took a refund.
So you got a refund window.
Treating Steam games like they're demos nowadays. Anything that's not like a clear indie roguelike game that is like a little bit deeper than that, I played for like an hour and then I'm just like, well, that's it for me.
I like the idea of you having like a clock timer, like an egg timer on your desk that you wind up to like, okay, I got 85 minutes or whatever your maximum amount of time is, and you're like, okay, I gotta stop before it buzzes.
Yeah, I mean, if I end up going too long, I always throw the refund out there, and I always keep getting it. One of these times, I'm not going to get it, and I'll be totally fine with that. It means that I spent more than like 2 or 3 hours or whatever it is on the game, and I think that's fair enough. But I don't know, it didn't really catch me.
I'm just filling time until Elden Ring comes out at the end of the month, but like if something clicks, I'll be excited about it. But Pokemon didn't click for me. I don't know if it's because I'm old, or I don't know if it's because it's too different. I don't know if it's bad, but it seems to be getting like mixed to high reviews. So I guess some people like it.
There was one thing that came out of the lore of that Pokemon game, right? It's the fact that it's the Pokemon that shrink size and not the Pokeballs. The Pokeballs don't make them small. Apparently, the Pokemon shrink themselves.
I remember reading that actually in one of the dialogues during the 2-hour tutorial, but I was so not invested in all the tutorial that I was skipping through stuff. So I was also missing like all the fun flavor text and like any bit of interesting dialogue. So I'm like, fuck, I want to play the game. I want to play the game because I was too impatient to sit through like the beginning of it. So maybe my own ADD was my biggest rival to enjoying Pokemon.
Isn't that really weird? Why wouldn't they keep it like? Hasn't everyone just made the assumption that it was the Pokeball that made the Pokemon small and not the Pokemon themselves all of a sudden shrinking down to fill a space? Like they're like gas, They expand and shrink to fill a volume.
Well, I guess I can't think of any instances of Pokemon doing that not involving a Pokeball, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have Pokemon who just, like, shrinked up really small out in the wild. Yeah, you're right. I didn't have an opinion, but now I have an opinion, and I agree with you that this is bullshit. And I'm going to go call Nintendo. I'm going to go call John Nintendo and be like, hey, I want my Pokemon money back.
They really couldn't come up with a reason in feudal Japan. Like, why couldn't it be like, some mystical fruit or something? Or like they found, like, it doesn't have to be technology based. They can come up with something else that shrinks the Pokemon, excuse me, down.
Yeah, do not
Maybe,
call them animals.
maybe they thought it would be less animal cruelty style, Like, no, these animals do this naturally. They want to be inside the Pokeball. It's very natural for them.
Matt, I didn't have a lot of stuff happen last week that I would consider interesting, with the exception of one thing that you might find interesting. And I only want to tell you it because I'm kind of tangentially upset at you. Like I'm a
Me?
little. Yeah, a little bit.
Uh-oh. What did I do?
So I went to the dentist on Wednesday.
Okay.
And I met my friend, who is definitely engaged. She gave me some stickers. She made some custom stickers, and she's like, "Oh man, Joey, thank you so much for like showing me how to use that die cut machine. You're so I made you some stickers." And I'm like, "That's great. I think I'm still attracted to you. We should be friends."
Wait, what's a die cut machine?
How do you describe a die cut machine? It basically will take a medium, like say like a sheet of paper or vinyl or metal or what have you, and then it uses a computer router and blade to cut out a design. So like if you wanted to cut out like a DOTA logo on a piece of vinyl to make a sticker, instead of like having to trace it and cut it by hand, it's a machine that does precision cutting. That's how you describe it. It's a precision cutting machine.
I see. Okay.
So she made stickers for me, which is great, and I still may or may not be over her if anyone was curious. But that's not why I'm upset. So I was getting finally, it's been about 6 or 7 months. The implant that was torqued into my mandible has healed, and I went to go start the second stage of the implant, which is where they some people might not like this. You can timestamp skip if you want. What they do is they scalpel you back open in order to reveal the bone again. They pull your gums away, and then at the top of your bone is supposed to be like a little the little metal piece, the actual implant that they put in there that's stuck. Mine stuck so well. The procedure's supposed to be pretty quick. Mine stuck so well that the bone overgrew the top of the implant, and the female part that they're supposed to screw into had like bone growth. So they had to like do a bunch of drilling, which is delicate because they didn't want to mess up the threads of the implant. So basically, they do that, and then they put like a little temporary cap in. So right now, you can't really see it. It's hard to show, but like I have a little metal plate there to heal before they actually screw in the tooth in like a month. And so this procedure that was supposed to be like kind of quick, but still some shots and numbing, had to be a little bit longer. And I was listening to some podcasts. I was listening to some podcasts on my phone. The dental school is in a basement, literally. So I have no service. And I can't listen to whatever's new on Spotify. So I only have a couple of options of things that are saved to my phone. Side note about Spotify. Spotify's like an always online application and service, and if you have no connectivity, it is very hard to get to your downloads folder on Spotify.
Yes.
Which is so
I'm intimately
stupid.
aware of this.
From
I'm intimately
airplanes?
aware of this as
Like-
somebody's, yes, airplanes. I use Spotify for my music on my phone. So yes, I am very aware of how infuriating it is to use Spotify offline.
Yeah, I have the stuff downloaded locally. Why can you not just pull it up without going, "Hey, sorry, no connection"? I don't care if you're connected. I have the show downloaded. Anywho, fuck Spotify and fuck Joe Rogan.
We are on Spotify though. If you want to download us there.
Or on Spotify, they just included the rating system. You can go ahead and click on Spotify if you're listening right now, rate us 5 stars. Unless you're offline listening to this, in which case you probably are really much empathizing with our rage right now. Anywho, moving on. Only had a couple of podcasts available. I just finished my news show. I was listening to like the NPR Daily Update, and then I'm like, okay, what am I going to listen to? And everything that I had downloaded was like comedy podcasts. And I'm like, I don't really want to listen to like a comedy podcast at the dentist because I'm supposed to, not do anything with my mouth, and sometimes that's uncontrollable. But I had the latest episode of the Cap and Blitz podcast downloaded.
Nice.
And I'm like, dude, what would be more comforting to me than to lay in this chair, have my mouth be numb. A tangent about my mouth being numb. They numbed me so well that I was almost choking on my uvula because I couldn't feel it, but it felt like I was choking on it. So I was sitting in the chair going because I thought I was drowning.
Sounds bad.
On my uvula, and I'm like, and the assistant's like, that means the dentist numbed you super well. And I'm like, cool. It feels like I'm choking. Anywho, back to the point of the story. I'm like, what will comfort me more than listening to my buddy Cap and listening to my buddy Blitz? They'll just talk about, I don't know, like fucking liquid DOTA and DOTA and I don't know, whatever else they want to. It'll be a very pleasant way for me to get through these 50 minutes. And it was. It was. Everybody should go listen to the show if they haven't. Also put on your Spotify feed, download it if you're going to be offline. But my problem comes from the end of the show, which was coinciding with them trying to screw in this temporary cap into my implant. Because what happened is as they were trying to screw it in, y'all said something funny, and I chuckled a little bit. Just a little bit. And that little jarring motion, what it allowed it to do was it took the little titanium cap that they were going to screw on my into my jaw, and it fell into the back of my throat. So now what's going on? And what they do is there's a contingency plan for this. They know that this must happen one out of every so many times. So when they're attaching it, they put a little bit of dental floss on the end so that there's like a rope, like some kind of fucking safety rope, right? Okay. There's a way for the dentist to try and retrieve it, but this motherfucker's like behind my tonsils at this point, and I can feel it, and I am doing my best to not panic. And I'm like, okay, the dentist will fix this. I have to remain calm. Everything's okay. I'm like sweating. I can see like the hygienist is like, that's not good. And I'm like, you're not helping with the worried look on your face, ma'am. And all the while this is happening, I'm just like listening to you and Will have like an existential conversation because I can't move to even get you out of my ears at this point. So I have someone fishing a lost piece out of the back of my throat, and I'm just sitting there like listening to your dumb ass like, oh my god, can you please pull this out of my throat? I am so uncomfortable right now. And because I can't do anything.
Just think, if you would have died, you would have died listening to me. What better way to go out?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we don't actually, because most of the time we just end up talking about liquid. We don't really talk about too much outside of that. This time I tried, like, for example, I tried to ask Blitz about Valve and stuff, but like he can only say so much and do so much with his current position. So
Yeah, it
I
was.
didn't really get. I don't remember I don't remember saying anything funny during that podcast.
It was. If I was a better storyteller, I would have gone back to like try and remember exactly what it was. But that would have implied me thinking more about it than just letting you know. Because as soon as the trauma is happening, I'm forgetting about what you're talking about almost instantly. I'm just listening to your voices. We were talking about some bullshit at the end of the show. Everybody should go listen. It's great. I would potentially not recommend listening at the dentist office and keep that to like news or music or something that wouldn't cause a lost piece of metal to fall down your throat.
Now I'm just imagining for some reason you listening to like one of these news podcasts and one of these podcasters like, and we're gonna do something different here. It's time. I wrote a stand-up routine and we're gonna try it live right now. Joe's like, no.
Hey everybody, it's NPR and it's time for comedy laughs. You know, it's like, fuck.
It's like that challenge they do on YouTube. I know, like Ludwig does it all the time. You laugh, you lose, or whatever. You laugh, you die, Joey.
That's probably a real YouTube thumbnail, man. I had to make a you laugh, you lose video for something that I actually can't talk about, which is exciting. And Ooh. I'm glad that I stopped myself so I don't have to edit that. And it makes me realize more and more how disjointed I am from like liking mainstream popular YouTube content and like actually playing the YouTube game. Every day I realize it's less and less for me.
All I can think about was the fact that you were talking about how Jackass was such a big deal to you. So did you end up watching Jackass?
Oh, yes, I did. Hold on. Quick Jackass 4. Jackass 4. Write a note right here for myself so I can remember later. So did I tell you our plans for Jackass? I don't think I did on the show.
You said you were renting out a theater and you invited me. And I said, I don't watch Jackass movies. I never have. I don't know.
Okay, first off, if anybody wants to go shame Austin for not, that's open season. Like, you should. Honestly, the fact that you haven't is very interesting to me for a couple of reasons. Mostly because I feel like we're in the same generational cohort, and I feel like the majority of my friends' Jackass was in some way, shape, or form formative. Especially from people who are like watching MTV. You were probably doing things like, with like girls and other stuff, but I was watching people hit each other in the ding dong. I rented out a theater to go see Jackass 4 on launch day because Jackass is like oddly very impactful in my life. I think that if anybody's watched any of the stuff that I've made, like, outside of Dota content, there's some obvious Jackass influence just in terms of humor. I've done some stupid stuff, never as extreme or to the level of some of the movies, but like, that's definitely in my comedy slapstick repertoire. I have so much respect for Johnny and Steve-O. Big genuine Jackass fan. And the only movie that I have ever cried in theaters for, was Jackass 3, because the ending of Jackass 3 with the credits rolling and like the time-lapse photos they did felt like it was finality and the end of something, and the end of something that was like important and like formative to me. And then a decade later they make Jackass 4 because capitalism sucks. There's always a new tour, right? And I wanted to watch it really bad, but COVID's still not great in Los Angeles. I really don't want to go be in a theater with 200 people who are laughing with or without masks on. That sounds like a recipe to get sick. So I rented out a theater, which is actually super affordable. It was $250 for 30 people to go see the movie. Anywhere from 1 to 30
That's not
people.
bad.
So if you go like, anywhere over 25 people, it's cheaper than a regular movie ticket at that point. It's under $10 per person. Yeah, so that was cool. We got to watch it on release night, and I invited a couple friends. I invited you, you didn't come, that's fine. And then mostly it was actually Team Liquid people. Which was interesting because we were going to expense it under like human resources as like, like a group bonding activity. But then we watched the movie and decided that maybe we shouldn't have HR fund the movie we went to go watch that involved what I would consider a copious amount of semen, or honestly, like a lot of dicks.
Wait, like human semen?
Fake,
or like bull semen.
Fake human semen, real pig semen.
Ah, okay. Yeah. I could see where that was coming.
Among a bunch of other things. So we decided that, hey, you know what, everybody, let's just Venmo Joey and not worry about this ever being an HR problem. But yeah, we got, I got 27 people to go, mostly coworkers, and everybody had a great time, with the exception of one person who apparently had no idea what Jackass was and brought their wife, who also clearly was, I don't think was a fan. And while everybody in the theater, including myself, especially myself, I mean, you've heard me laugh. I can describe it as a couple of ways, but one way might be obnoxious. I wasn't really.
Oh, don't do that. I actually don't find your laugh obnoxious at all. I just thought it was a funny bit.
I don't either. It is unique. Not really. I don't care. So I'm having a grand old time in the theater, yucking it up a bunch, like, haha, Dick's so funny, haha. And I know that there was like two people in the theater who were not having a great time, because they were more like the wincy, oh my god, I'm uncomfortable. There's a bunch of coworkers here, and we're all looking at like adult grown men dicks that are painted like dinosaurs together. And everyone else is just having a grand old time. Jackass 4 would recommend. All Jackass movies would recommend. One day at some point in time, you and I, we're going to sit down and we're going to watch Jackass 3.
Okay.
And you're going to be like, fuck, this is funny. And then I'll be like, yeah, have you never seen this?
I cringe when it comes to, I will say I cringe when it comes to painful stuff.
Cringing to the point where like it is like physically uncomfortable for you to watch it? Like are you gonna like
it
like
is a
watch?
little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think I would still enjoy it, but I'm just saying that is part of the reason it doesn't have a whole lot of appeal to me. I would find the best parts of the movie for me would not involve any like physical harm, basically.
Okay, so I have some news for you. About half, if not more, of the movie is funny because of people hurting themselves.
I know. Like whatever there's those gifs of like skateboarders or like especially skateboarders, and they just bomb out somewhere. I'm always like, oh god, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah, there's a couple bits. There's a couple bits in this movie that are pretty rough on that front. That are super rough on that front. Jumping into a pit of cactuses on a skateboard was pretty bad for me. Yeah. This will be an ongoing thing, everybody. I will force Cap to watch something and then we'll report back. I'm convinced. That a lot of people watching this are interested and or fans, and are probably listening to you being like, I would have never guessed that.
Okay, so I think so I always assumed anyway that the reason that I don't like those things is that like I'm an empathetic, like I'm an empathetic crier, for example. Like I have that tie in my emotions when I see other people. And you specifically noticed that your coworker and their wife were not enjoying the show, and it stood out to you and it latched onto you and it bothered you. So like what I don't get is you obviously have some of those traits, But when it comes to physical harm, you have no problem with that. You don't have that tie of like ah. I find that interesting.
Okay, so when I think that at a base level, the funniest things for me, the things that make me laugh the most, are almost universally physical and probably related to pain. And I don't know if that's because of the influence of like Jackass and early internet and stuff that I watched growing up. But like, you can give me something that people think is really funny, laugh out loud, you know, like name whatever like your favorite comedy movie is or your favorite sitcom or whatever, you know, something goes ha ha ha. Like, I don't watch an episode of Seinfeld and laugh. I very rarely laugh out loud at written dialogue or like dialogue very rarely makes me go but watching someone get kicked in the ding dong in a funny way, I'm gone. I'm done. Every time. It's cathartic. It's like I never don't think it's funny.
Okay, another question for you. What do you how do you feel about cringe humor? As in like the main character has done something super cringy and it's very funny, but it's very cringy.
I really struggle with cringe humor or cringe situations. Even sometimes in legitimate drama shows, like what was I watching recently? The last season of Better Call Saul. I forget what it was exactly. Also, I think a couple times in Mr. Robot. But like there are times where if there is enough situational cringe on screen that like I will want to curl up and get under a blanket and watch through my hands and just like black out what is going on because I feel so physically uncomfortable for the situation on screen. Yeah. That never happens in Jackass. Never. Doesn't happen in Jackass.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get a lot of cringe sympathy, but like I don't get a lot of like pain sympathy.
Okay. All right. We learned something new about each other today.
We're going to watch Jackass.
All right, you want to talk about some Dota?
We should probably talk about a little bit of Dota. So, the events that are happening start this weekend. 3 of them, right? Or 4 of them? 3 of them. There's 6 regions. There's 6 regions. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. 3 of them are this weekend. 3 of them are the weekend after. So there'll be 2 weekends of playoff remote regional Dota that is happening. And if I want to watch cast any of those games, I'm going to make sure to tune into the... I'm leaving this as dead air for you to fill.
Yes.
This is...
Which one?
Yeah. Which one do I tune into to make sure that I can...
You can watch twitch.tv/capcast. I don't believe I was hired. For whatever reason, the clapping did not get picked up on Discord, by the way. Just letting
Interesting.
You know.
It might not be recorded then. We'll find out.
Yes, I noticed that I listened back to one of the episodes earlier, and I know I did something that didn't get picked up. I don't know. There's a very weird game in Discord. I'm not working the online majors. Mostly because it seems that ESL DreamHack did not hire me. They haven't gotten back to me yet, and I know other people have been hired. So don't think I'm working that. And it's far too late for me to contact anybody else and be like, hey, you want to... I mean, to be clear, I actually, in full transparency, I contacted BTS pretty early on because I wasn't getting word back from ESL, but they didn't really have like a spot open for me. Basically, it was like they wanted to be able to... This is something I think was very admirable. They wanted to be able to like remain loyal to the people that they've been working with and stuff. So, so I think that's perfectly fine, well and dandy, and no problems with that. But it does I don't know the other tournament organizers well enough to reach out to them like that early. And at this point in time, it's pointless to try and ask. So I'm just not going to be casting, I guess. And I may not be working next DPC season either.
Well,
Listen, this is like, there's some stuff that like I don't say on the podcast because I think it's like, like uncouth and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna put it out here that like I have been waiting. I started this conversation 5 weeks ago, maybe longer. Being like, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? Hey, have you guys said, because I need to know for, because like, if not, like I'm gonna go somewhere else. And it's been 3 weeks that I've been waiting for an actual meeting to talk because I don't know what's going on. Remember at post TI when I said that like I felt like I had to like start over, and then like ESL has not been giving me any casting at all, so I've been like kind of like been put into a host situation. I still think I'm the second best play-by-play caster. I may not have like the best duo, but I think I was looking at potentially casting with SVG, and I think that would go very, very well. I think it would be a very top tier duo, but I can't really seem to get any area to cast with him or cast at all. And now it seems like maybe I'm just not going to be hosting either. So I have no fucking clue what's going on. I may, we'll
I'm
we
sure
just start to wait and see.
I'm sure that's causing zero indigestion.
Yes, it's making me very anxious.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had that one completely backwards. My bad. Hold on. Let me take that again.
I know that was totally the opposite.
Well, that sounds not awesome.
No, it's not awesome at all. Because if you're not working the DPC, you're not working at all. You're basically unemployed. So that I literally have to start thinking about like, okay, is it going to be that way for the third season? What do I do in the meantime? Do I start looking at getting another job? Like that's literally what I have to start thinking about, because it's like, okay, well, this whole DPC thing, like, I kind of figured there was going to be work for me from ESL for the rest of the year. It doesn't appear to be the case. So, or may not be the case anyway. I haven't heard back about the DPC season, but they haven't hired me for the online majors, so that's concerning to say the least. So it's like, all right, so what do I do instead?
So best case scenario, they don't have their shit together at all, and your anxiety is secondhand of them not having their shit together.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, there's a lot of job listings around town. I don't know if you've been like around Los Angeles, like everybody's hiring. I mean, I'm hiring people. Yeah, just give me a resume. Yeah.
All right. Well, fortunately, like, I'm not like super anxious about it, because like, let's say for whatever reason, all of a sudden, like, I just become a persona non grata and nobody wants to hire me. I do have like standing offers, I feel like, from people who have said like, yeah, like you need a job in esports, we got you. So I think I'm okay, but it's not. I still want to keep casting. I wasn't at TI because I had COVID, not because I chose not to cast. I'm not sure if they just only watch TI and they're like, this Cap guy isn't anywhere. Oh, wait, why are we hiring Cap again? He's not even at TI. Why are we hiring him? I'm not sure if that's the. I'm just. What's going on?
Nah. I mean, I know that you're being lightly humorous right now, but I think that one might be a bridge too far. I think that one's a bridge too far.
Maybe, but there's definitely something concerning here.
I
don't know what it is.
Do you think a big part of it? I'm
trying to get a meeting to figure out, like, hey, I just like, I don't deal well. Let me tell you a story of something that happened recently that I cannot give any details into, but I'm just gonna be as obtuse. Big picture, biggest picture was that basically I found out that like there were some lies being spread about me, and I don't do very well with like the political game and like that sort of thing. So I go straight to people. I like being open and honest and being like, hey, what's going on? What's going on between us? I've done that before. I did that. For example, I've talked on this podcast and like PGL, for example. Like I went up to Sylvia one time. I was at an event that I was working, that they were doing production, but they weren't the ones who hired talent. So I was working with them for once, not a TI. And I was like, hey, Sylvia, like, what's up, man? Like, is there any beef between us? You want to talk about something? No, didn't want to talk about anything. And like, maybe there really isn't, but like, you know, they stopped hiring me and have never contacted me since. So, and so this is an entirely different situation. But like, I went to somebody and was just like, hey, what's going on here? I don't do well in these sort of situations. It bothers me. I like being able to know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't like being out in the cold, like ultimately, because you start thinking, and then you're your own worst enemy because you don't have information, so you have nothing to go off of. Right?
I also just think that open communication is best. You know, like if
dude,
you got a problem with me, you think I'm doing a bad job or something, like just tell me, and we could talk about it. So like that's what I'm trying to get a meeting with ESL, because like I just want to be like, hey guys, am I doing a bad job? Do you guys think I'm not like good anymore? Do you guys not like what I do? What's going on? Because doesn't seem to be interested anymore. So yeah, don't know what's going on there. But yeah, so online majors are going to be going on. That'll be happening next week. I'll be watching it. Might be casting it on my channel. I have no idea. Might do some casting with SVG or something. We'll see.
Do you think that there's any credence to you not having a consistent partner and that being harmful to your prospects?
It's why I wasn't hired for TI7, right? So yes, right now I do not have a casting partner, or at least like that I have showcased anyway. So you know, that is certainly a problem, but I feel like I work well with a lot of different people. And to be honest, like the shows that we're doing with like the DPC and stuff right now is not necessarily always like paired up specific casters, right? Owen's casting with like T-Gov and like Jenkins half the time. I cast very well with Jenkins. I work very well with everyone. I get along with everybody. So, you know, I feel like I'm a good enough play-by-play caster that you can slot me in with anybody, and it's going to be good, if not great. But yes, I do think it hurts not being in a specific duo. That's why I didn't get hired for TI7 main event. They only hired me for group stage. And from what I heard was that it was because I didn't have a dedicated duo. So
well, if you do any casting this weekend, I know that I'll be tuned into your stream and not the main broadcast, because you know I'm here to support my friends, and also like, you know, who wants that polished broadcast production stuff? I want to listen to people talking about butts and poop. Also, it could be a great time to hear the Cap SVG casts, you know.
Yeah. I may or may not be doing some sort of like, usually the group casts that I do, are like, there's usually several casters talent that aren't hired for the DPC sort of situation, because there's so many jobs across the spectrum. I feel like most of the talent will be hired. So I don't know, maybe it'll be a more dedicated duo cast between me and like SVG or whoever else. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get any.
I think that could be cool. Like hear me out. Live producing on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Could be, you know, just good reps for each other. Could be a great way to test stuff. Could be a way to get like a lot more audience feedback. Could be a way to have some people on Reddit be like, damn, I really like Cap and SVG together. Like probably a lot of opportunity to go that direction versus just having a round table with 5 or 6 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but real quick note, don't put this on Reddit. Do not, I swear to God, do not put this on Reddit. All right? Because the last thing, like, I'm just venting to you guys. All right? The last thing I need you guys is to make this public enough that, like, ESL is actually, like, finds out that I'm talking about this on a podcast. All right? I don't need that, like, awkward situation. All right? But yeah, casting with FC. This is the problem of being like second best and not having like a dedicated duo is like Owen's the go-to name, and then like everybody else, like Sunsfan and Syndrome are like the hot new duo, and they get like a lot of love and appreciation, and they should because they're super fucking good. And they're a little bit fresh, right? They bring a more humor aspect to the broadcast, to like way past, probably way more than the level that like Blitz and I had, for example. Like we also had like very humorous casting, but it wasn't quite the level. Because different humor, and I also like there's probably a level of professionalism that I personally will never like fully go down, you know.
Which is why putting you with Jenkins can be fun, because he has no filter, and sometimes you have to sit there and like you have to like be mom or dad. Which is like, you know, oftentimes, you know, part of the thing that I think makes the Cinder and Sunsfan pairing interesting to me is that like oftentimes Cinderin is playing mom and dad, where it's like, hey, but Shannon, like, no. And that is
when almost all
funny.
Like other duos, it's the play-by-play caster that is the straight man, because they're usually the more professional dressed up type, right? And it's the flavor caster, it's the color caster, it's the co-caster who has a little bit more, you know, fast and loose and is able to play the funny wacky guy. So yes, it is inverted in that duo, and I think it makes it a lot more interesting as well.
Do you want to do the thing? I don't want to cut you off if you have more to say about that.
No, I just pretty much, you know, this is just a following conversation from when I started at that post-TI one, which is that, like, I feel like I kind of have to grind it back. And you're like, no, it's fine. I'm like, it's coming true, Joey. Much like the Alliance prediction.
What do I
It
know?
all comes back in the end. It just takes time.
What do I know? Nothing.
I got to do something about this. I'm an inherently very competitive person. I'm losing right now, and I don't like that. So I got to do something.
I think that for people who are truly competitive and still have that drive, that every now and then drifting a little bit farther back in the race is good. You know, because it really lets you either reignite a fire or reevaluate.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't good enough for me to just get COVID, Joey. Is that?
No.
It wasn't good enough for me to get COVID on my birthday at TI, Joe.
How are your lungs doing, buddy? Like,
I need you to fall lower. Is that it?
How are your lungs doing? They fine? Yeah, cool. I'm glad you can breathe.
It's great.
There's 3 events happening this weekend.
Yeah.
South America, Southeast Asia, Western Europe. You want to talk about them real quick? And then we'll round this out?
Yeah. Super quickly.
Do you have any...
Okay,
South America.
Let me...
Oh, you gotta open the Wikipedia page? You gotta open the Wikipedia page?
No, I'm thinking more like which one of these are going to buck the trend, right? So we already have a first, second, third, fourth, right? So I'm basically looking at which one of these do I think there is basically going to be some sort of upset. So South America, like, who the hell knows? Honestly, like, maybe Beast Coast like turns up and actually shows up, but they don't seem to like show. They seem to thrive on land because they don't seem to care as much. I think nerves don't affect them, for example. I think they play like a very like just free flowing style, and I think that works best on land where people are more inhibited by nerves, and Beast Coast seems to do better in that situation. excluding this last TI where they lost to Alliance, and they seem like they didn't really care in a best of. I have no clue what was going on there, but so who knows? Maybe Beast Coast shows up, maybe they don't. Either way, I'm probably still backing Thunder Awaken for the most part.
Who were Thunder Predator for anybody who's confused by hearing that.
Yeah, that's another little switcheroo they had going on. I'm still probably going to be back in because I'm sick, and I really like Super G more of though. Haven't watched very much. South America is the one region that I haven't actually watched very much of at all. Well, 6 regions is a lot, and I feel like I've done a really good job of watching 5 of them. So I just there's got to be a limit somewhere. Western Europe, that's a total grab bag. Like, who the fuck knows what's going on with Western Europe? That, I think, is very even, and I don't think Liquid actually has an advantage there. And nor do I think that, who was 4th, technically? I think that was OG. I think Tundra scored 3rd in the tiebreaker. Yeah, nor do I think, like, OG is a step below anybody there. So, Western Europe, total toss-up. Eastern Europe, obviously Team Spirit, but I could see maybe Virtus Pro will get in shape in time to actually take away 2nd place.
You're getting ahead of yourself. It is. Wait, yeah, that's you're getting ahead of yourself. It's Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia's this weekend.
I was just going, I was just going through.
But then we got to talk about our next. Okay, fine.
Southeast Asia. Okay, so we have some big switcheroos that have happened with Southeast Asia.
With T1, yeah?
Yes, with T1. So, first of all, it seems that Gabby is going to be standing in for T1. 23 Savage is out, and he's currently being loaned to MTG for the BTS Pro Series. I haven't seen how they've been doing there. And then this may have like some sort of trickle-down effect, whereas potentially, I think I saw a rumor about 23 Savage maybe playing with Boom. Don't know if that's actually has any validity to it, but I think most of the community views Tino as like the odd man out. I viewed him the same way, though I do think he has improved very much over the first season. And while he may not still be at the same caliber as the rest of his teammates, I think he can certainly get there, especially under tutelage of an experienced coach like Mushi. So
you know what's wild about Tino?
Yeah,
he has less than 200 followers on Twitter.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we haven't like completed our roster switch ups yet, right? I don't know when the roster lock is.
Presumably, like after the thing, probably like a couple weeks after. Yeah.
Can they swap beforehand? I assume so, because T1 has Gabby now.
Yeah, well, you can have like a stand-in,
23
right?
Savage.
Because Gabby
stand-in. Okay.
Gabby was playing with TNC for years, and then Talon.
Yeah. Basically, the Talon roster falling apart is going to have various effects on the upper division, because some of those players are absolutely going to get picked up by some upper division team, because the opportunity is there to make your team that much better. Potentially. You never know the ramifications of a roster change. It may actually make your team worse in action, even if it was better on paper. So
Gabby over 23 feels like it's still an interesting choice to people, because it doesn't feel like super cut and dry. A lot of people are still really high on 23. And Gabby's results have been, consistent but middling in his teams. So like,
yeah, I mean, the Talon roster just seemed to be a fucking disaster. So, but I think he was a very much a large reason why the TNC rosters, because he was on there for like 3 or 4 years. Those rosters were like routinely strong. and one of the best rosters in Southeast Asia. So he is a large reason for that. So I can see them picking it up, especially if they feel like they haven't actually gotten, especially this first DPC season, they were kind of dethroned a bit by Boom in some capacities. So I think that they probably feel like they want to make some sort of change, and this is a very easy, obvious one to make. So I can see where their head's at.
It might just be great news for Boom, though, if that trade ends up going through. Maybe. I'm looking forward, obviously, to Western Europe because of reasons, but also I want to see how Southeast Asia mixes itself up. I think that, probably short of SMG, any of these teams could seriously beat each other. Which is what is making these top four exciting, right? Also, this is the first time that SMG and Boom have been like on this stage playing for, playoff points, I think, right? Similar to in Western Europe, like, Tickles hasn't really been playing for points. Tundra was at the end. I think part of, the conversation that persists across these regions is not having these, quote, old boy tier 1 teams and players who are competing for these points. And there's a world where, now that first place is 250 DPC points, that could matter. That could be a little bit of an edge for somebody who's on a bubble who might be in South America or might be in Southeast Asia, right? So,
no, absolutely. It'll definitely it could definitely be a major factor for TI invites at the end of the year. So now leaves China and North America, which I could say North America. I think that who knows what's going on with EG's roster. I'm not sure if they're actually going to be able to get Nightfall back in time. So not expecting them to be first, but there's always the possibility of them doing so. Quincy Crew and a bit of a toss-up between them, but expecting
TSM.
Quincy Crew first, EG, TSM. Undying got picked up by TSM. We said we were going to talk about that. We talked about it. Yay! Yay for North America!
There's someone who has been waiting literally an entire week for us to be like, oh man, like I wonder what Cab might have to say about the TSM situation, and they've been like, brushing
what are the ramifications to the North American scene?
They've been brushing their teeth in the morning and being like, oh man, Side Pole's coming out today. I wonder what they're going to say about TSM. They teased it last week, and that's all they got. That is it. That is all they deserve. I'm glad they flew Moon out for the announcement. Their announcement was kind of icky. TSM's in a weird spot in the esports scene right now because overall, it's weird, right? Like, TSM, super happy to have another tier 1 organization invest in Dota. I am never going to complain about that ever, right? TSM as an organization, if you've been following the news, a little bit of a weird spot. Being investigated by Riot, having a ton of employees leave, having some of their most prolific and followed social media accounts leave. That's Myth, that's Bjergsen, that's Doublelift, right? Suddenly you have 20 million less Twitter followers when those 3 people leave, right? And just a bunch of their staff is left, especially to go to offline TV. Their old COO player manager, their head of content, a bunch of other people on their content team, right? So I am worried about TSM imploding. I don't see how that'll ever be a net negative for North American Dota. Good for them. They have a fan base still. But a little bit leery. Hope that they can figure their stuff out, or hope that if they got to have their fans go other places, that the Team Liquid LCS team, one lock-in.
It's certainly not great that it's the Dota scene that is the sinking ship's plan C for them to maintain some relevance. Not great. Not great. When's 100 Thieves gonna blow up, and then all of a sudden be like, oh shit, we gotta get some teams somewhere trying to pick up Quincy Crew.
I think never is the right answer to that question.
Well, maybe 100 Thieves was the wrong one to choose. Okay, so Quincy Crew won. TSM EG 2-3, though EG could be first. And then I think the obvious bottom one is for Zoomers there. I'm not expecting them to do better than fourth unless the other three teams, one of them looks really bad. Most likely being EG, just because their roster situation. So, yeah. That's I think that one's pretty clear. China, LGD obvious first. Other than that, maybe RNG shows up. Maybe Elephant proves like some of the old members of Elephant prove that they can actually perform in online, and they can actually do it when it's needed. Because otherwise, I mean, we've already staved off the like Aster online domination, right?
Mm-hmm.
LGD already took away that first place away from Aster. So now we just kind of need RNG to step up.
I'm an ex-Nova fan, so I'm never. It's going to be hard for me to not root for RNG, the team. Between maybe an ex-Nova, like those are two of my favorite Chinese players. Just full stop.
Yeah, same. Maybe is absolutely one of my favorite, though Ori is another one of my favorite, and so Aster and RNG somewhere 2-3. Vici Gaming, or excuse me, not Vici Gaming. eHome. eHome got fourth. Oh my God, they actually managed to beat out Vici. I'd assume Vici Gaming had gotten fourth. I didn't follow up on the last few games. Oof, feels bad for Vici Gaming. Yikes. eHome. Well, expecting eHome to be fourth, but honestly, they did a very good job getting this far. Like, they made it into upper division in the first place. This roster made it into upper division in the first place. Now they're on eHome. Now they've gotten fourth. They made it into the playoffs. That's actually super sick. I did not realize that. Huh.
We didn't touch on that's semi-related to that. IG got relegated from China.
Yeah,
they went 1-6. The only team they beat was Phoenix, who didn't win the game really. And that feels, I mean, I guess surprising if you're not following. I mean, they won a major last year. They were pretty consistently not the best team, but performing pretty well throughout 2021. And now they couldn't even keep their Div 1 slot, which speaks to how competitive China is, but also that something isn't right there.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they get beat out by LBZS, who was the expected seventh team. I mean, ultimately, even Phoenix managed to take a game off of both LBZS and Vici Gaming, which, in full honesty, I expected them to go 0-2 across the board. I was like, this is a team, because they were just they're a team that didn't earn their way into upper division, right? Mm-hmm. So I was just I assume 0-2s across the board. Even they managed to take two games. So, yeah, I mean, upper division for China and Western Europe and Southeast Asia are all very, very competitive. Very, very, you gotta actually be on your A game to stay in upper division. Other regions, it's okay, maybe it's a tough battle to stay in top three, but those three regions are all deep enough that you have to actually come to play to stay in upper division. So,
forgive me, I stopped you before you actually talked about Eastern Europe. Then you went through everything else. So do you just want to say that Team Spirit's going to win?
Oh, yeah, Team Spirit's going to win. Well, I said that Virtus Pro might wake up and take second away from PUCChamp, but otherwise I'll be backing my boys PUCChamp all the way. Let's go. So, yeah, that's the predictions for all the online majors. Very good.
I think that the first seed is going to win every region with the exception of T1 winning Southeast Asia.
Just because the roster change or what?
Yeah. I think that they're gonna find a little bit of success gelling with the roster change, which they also don't have a bunch of reps under. There's not a bunch of research under. I think that Boom hasn't proven themselves to really like win a tournament, right? Like, sure, they won DPC, but that's a little bit different than first place in a little mini major, in a little best four double elimination. So I can see T1 pulling it out. Other than that, I think across the board we will see the first seed win.
Okay. Fair enough. I still think Boom's going to do it. I believe in Boom. Well, I also think Fnatic actually may be may sneak into a first place slot there. But yeah, there are some regions. That one is another one that I feel like similar to North America. I feel like there is a step. There's a top 3, and then depending on their form, may or may not determine who gets first. And then it's there's a 4th team that is like a step below that I'm not expecting them to actually. They're not a contender for first. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, shit. We have approached the part of the show where we take fan questions from our Patreon, which is patreon.com/sidepoll. If you want to support us to, I don't know, Cap just told you he might not have a job. Like if it's like food stamps or like Patreon money, like he might need help to eat. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit. Yeah, like he's gonna need some nutrition. Okay. If you want to support us, patreon.com/sidepoll. And if you want to ask a question, we answer it on the show. It's free content for us. We don't have to think about things to talk about. Easy peasy. Cool. You can dictate the show. I believe in Discord. I sent you one of the 2 most recent ones.
Yes, Travis Modelin. That is the name of Mott. Travis Mott. Is this you, Mott? What's with the Allen part of your name? Anyway, he says, do either of you have any collections? Did you ever collect anything while growing up? Joey? Mr. who has a diary based off of the games and movies and TV shows that he's watched. He's a completionist through and through. I have to assume you have some collections outside of what I just stated. You had to have been a collector and may still be.
One of my favorite games of all time is Banjo-Kazooie, a game about collecting things. I read this question. I knew we were going to talk about it, and for some reason, I didn't fully mentally prepare myself, which feels like a production problem on myself. Yes, I did have some collections. They were never wild. Like, I don't have like a fucking row of Funko Pops anywhere, or like, I don't have a bunch of comic books. I didn't do typical collections. Things that I did collect when I was significantly younger, and part of me hates that I'm going to say this out loud. I had a collection of rocks. I had a lot of shiny different rocks. I knew a lot about different types of geodes, which, man, that makes me sound super hot. I'm gonna put that on my Tinder profile and see if that's helping with the ladies. I had a rock collection that wasn't really like, there's not one of one rocks though, so I'm not too worried about that. I had when Lego came out with the Bionicles, there was a McDonald's Happy Meal toy line of all the Lego Bionicles, one of each color. I had every one of the McDonald's miniature Bionicles with the full-scale first edition Bionicle, and I believe there was 8 of them. So I had 8 from McDonald's and 8 from Nintendo that were like on a display shelf above my desk, because when I was younger, my bed was like a bunk bed, but the bottom bunk was a desk. And then I had like, knickknacks and stuff on there. What else do I collect? I have a plush of every canonical color of Yoshi.
Really?
Yeah, you've
Do you
definitely
wait?
you've seen that.
You're
You've
a big
100
Yoshi fan?
Yeah, I am. You've definitely seen that. In
Dude,
my
I love
home.
Yoshi.
I have a I have one large like classical green Yoshi, but I have one of every color in like an 8-inch, which are like home decorations. I think it's the only thing that I've collected properly. I have a shit ton of Vans, but I don't really think that's a collection. In the sense that like the other ones are like, a set of something. I just have like an ass ton of Vans high tops.
Did you do any of the obvious growing up baseball cards or Pokemon cards or anything like that?
No.
Oh, I did Pokemon cards.
I wish I had Pokemon cards, and not just because now I could be like a fucking millionaire. I was never into the trading card games. I had so many. I really wanted to play Magic.
Card binder outside, and it rained.
Oh no! You probably had like original Charizards and bullshit. Oh no!
I did have my favorite was I had a holographic Blastoise. That was my favorite Pokemon.
Oh, that hurts.
So.
What did you collect? What was it mostly like TCG and like collectibles like that, or did you like?
I did Pokemon like during the time when like Pokemon was super hot. But that didn't last very long. I just remember all the collectible stuff now. Growing up as a kid, do you remember? So when they first came out with the quarters as states, and they were going to do that over the course of like 10 years, right? I did not collect that. I didn't think it was cool, but my grandmother, on my dad's side, she gave me one of those starter kits, one of those cardboard things, and you put them in and everything. Yeah, no. I mean, I did that because she gave it to me, but I didn't make any effort out of it. Let's put it that way.
I just recently got rid of mine.
You still had yours?
I had mine probably up into the age of, I want to say 27 or 28. It was in my childhood closet. It was that big cardboard map of the U.S. with like a cutout for every quarter, right? And then because when they released the new set of quarters, it was every year for 10 years maybe. They released 5 state quarters, and when you bought the binder, which they had to have sold a gazillion of to grandmas all over the country for their grandchildren. You got 5 quarters every year that were from the mint to put in the map. And before I got rid of the map, which was like warped and cumbersome and like kind of silly, I popped all the quarters out, and I actually do have a Ziploc bag of 50 quarters with one of every state.
Yeah, have you ever tried to Google and see if those are worth anything? I assume not.
They're worth a quarter each.
Yes, but you could spend it then in that case. But you put it in a Ziploc bag because it could potentially be worth more than a quarter.
I don't know who's looking for a collection of every state quarter. Now there's so many quarters, but like, I don't think anybody is. So yes, I should.
One more thing popped into my head during that time. Do you remember I think it was Sprite cans? Do you remember like the holographic Star Wars Sprite can collectible deals? There was something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Sprite cans?
Yeah, it was like the aluminum cans, and they had like a character on there, so they would have like Darth Vader or something like that. Maybe it was Coke. Maybe I don't remember exactly what it was.
I think you're talking about Mountain Dew, which is
maybe
green.
It was Mountain Dew.
I'm doing some live googling. Mountain Dew, Star Wars collectible.
This was back when the sequels, or sorry, the prequels were coming out. So this was like when I was like 11 or something.
Okay, a full set of these cans, which are Pepsi, Mountain Dew, and Pepsi One, are currently selling on eBay for $150. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 24 unique cans. This person has them all in a set. They've collected the set of 24 soda cans, which each imprint, and they're selling it for $150. I am confident. I was never a Star Wars fan, and this would peg me at age like 6. So I think that I might be missing this one by like literally a year or two, which checks out given our age difference. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a thing. I remember that. I did not try and collect those, but I do remember my grandmother. My grandmother was a big collector, which may actually be part of the reason why I'm not a collector. She collected teapots, and she had a shelf near the ceiling, up against the wall near the ceiling, all around her like living dining room area. And she would put each one of the teapots up there because her and my grandpa would go and travel to areas, and teapots are just, there's just one of those things that is sold in these craft stores, and she collected teapots, and she had a shit ton of them all over the place. And I just remember, I personally always found it very kitschy. It was not.
I like the idea of you being like 9 years old and being like, Grandma, that's kind of tacky.
Honestly, I honestly think I did feel that way, despite not knowing what tacky was.
Yeah, a lot. Like my parents hoard stuff. Not like, an episode of like A&E hoarders. It's not like a giant problem, but there's just too much stuff. And like, I think that like I struggle with that because I want to have physical things and I like it, but also I realize that the mess is cumbersome and burdensome. So I think that that's helped me, similar to your grandma's situation, but I'm not above like a small little collection. My mom has a collection.
My DOTA collecting stuff.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, it's not like I tried to get all of them or anything like that. It's just souvenirs from every TI sort of deal.
That Pelican case never got returned, huh?
Yeah, All right. Nobody can say anything about this. So Slacks also kept his Pelican case for like the last time we did an event together. There was like a year between us working events together, and I had sent mine back like a good person, and he had just kept on to his. When they hired us again, they're like, "Hey, do you still have that Pelican case with all that expensive gear in it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've got it right here." God. So yes, I still have mine because I was like, this event happened before TI, and I was like, I'll ship it off before TI, and then I forgot about it, went to TI, and then just haven't made the effort to send it back, and they haven't hit me up about it. I'll send it back eventually because it's just filling up my apartment. But
I want nothing more than someone from that company to like tune into your stream and look at your webcam and be like, is that our Pelican behind it? You need to next time I come over, I'm gonna bring you like a little tablecloth so you can like drape something over it.
No. The fact that it's bright yellow serves as a constant reminder that I need to actually. The thing is, it's heavy and it's annoying, so I have to actually, take it down the flight of stairs, down to my car, drive it over. It's a hassle. So you do just like any hassle in your life. What do? You procrastinate. You just put it off for another day. That's tomorrow's problem.
You know what's something you shouldn't put off for another day? Supporting us over on patreon.com/sidepoll. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Ooh.